Hello, everyone. Today, we're diving into a financial product that's really popular in France, but often misunderstood: Assurance Vie. It's not just life insurance, it's a key part of long-term financial planning for millions of French people. In this video, I'll explain exactly what it is, why it's so beneficial, the potential drawbacks, and how you can use it to meet your savings goals. Plus, we'll compare it to other popular options like the PA and the Livret A. Stick around until the end because we'll cover everything from opening an Assurance Vie to getting your money out. Before we dive into today's topic, please note that the information provided in this video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, investment, or tax advice. You should always consult with a licensed professional before making any financial decisions based on this content. Ready? Let's get started. To start, let's clear up a common misconception. Assurance Vie, which translates to life insurance, is not just about insuring your life in case of death. It's actually a long-term savings and investment tool, primarily used to grow wealth or transfer it to your loved ones in a tax-efficient way. When you open an Assurance Vie, you enter into a contract with an insurance company or a bank. You deposit money, which is then invested. The contract has two phases. While you're alive, it acts as a flexible savings tool. After your death, it can be passed on to beneficiaries, often with favorable tax treatment. Here's an analogy. Think of Assurance Vie as a savings basket. You regularly place money into this basket, and that money is invested in different places to help it grow. There are two main types of investments within Assurance Vie. 1. Fonds and euros, euro funds. These are low-risk, conservative investments. They're backed by the insurance company, meaning your capital is guaranteed. Imagine this as the safest section of your savings basket. You won't lose your money, but the returns, usually between 1% to 2% annually, are lower. 2. Unites de compte, unit-linked funds. These are higher-risk investments, which can include stocks, bonds, or real estate. With Unites de compte, the returns can be much higher, but so is the risk. You can lose part of your initial investment. Picture this as the part of your basket where your savings have more potential to grow, but they're more exposed to the ups and downs of the market. So, Assurance Vie is flexible, allowing you to choose how much risk you want to take and adjust your investments over time. Many people use it not only for long-term savings, but also as a way to pass on money to their children or other beneficiaries. The taxation of an Assurance Vie depends on how long you've held the contract and the amount you've invested. Here's a breakdown based on the duration and size of your investment. For contracts up to 8 years old, the tax rates remain the same as normal. Your withdrawals will be taxed either at your income tax rate, IR, or a flat tax called the Prélèvement Forfaitaire Unique, PFU, of 12.8%, plus 17.2% in social contributions on any profits, no matter the size of the investment. Example: if you've held your contract for 6 years and your profits amount to 10,000 euros, you'll still face a 30% total tax rate. With a flat tax of 12.8% and social contributions of 17.2%, you'd owe 3,000 euros in taxes on those 10,000 euro gains. For contracts over 8 years old is where the tax benefits kick in. If your total deposits are less than 150,000 euros, you get a tax-free allowance, an abatement on your gains, Euro 4, 600 per year for individuals or 9,200 euros for couples. After that, profits are taxed at a reduced rate of 7.5%, plus the 17.2% social contributions. However, if your total deposits exceed 150,000 euros, the part above 150,000 euros is taxed at the higher 12.8% PFU, plus the 17.2% social contributions. Example: let's say you've had the contract for 10 years, with total profits of 15,000 euros and deposits of 120,000 euros. You can withdraw up to 4,600 euros of the profit tax-free, and the remaining 10,400 euros would be taxed at the lower 7.5% rate, plus 17.2% social contributions. If your total deposits were above 150,000 euros, the profits beyond the abatement would be taxed at 12.8% instead of 7.5%. In short, the longer you hold the Assurance Vie, especially beyond 8 years, the more tax benefits you receive. Holding the contract for over 8 years, particularly with investments under 150,000 euros, allows you to maximize these advantages and reduce the taxes you owe on your gains. It is important to mention that the taxation is different for the deposits done before the 27 September 2017, and that is not going to be covered in this video. If any of your depositus fall into that category, it is important that you inform yourself about that particular situation. Now, let's talk about the benefits, and there are quite a few. This is why Assurance Vie is such a popular product in France. Its flexibility with withdrawals. One major advantage of Assurance Vie is that it's not a rigid, locked-in contract. You can withdraw money whenever you need it. Say, for example, you've saved for 10 years and decide to use some of that money to fund your child's education, buy a second home, or even enjoy early retirement. You can do that. Although it's designed as a long-term product, it's flexible enough to adapt to your life changes. For example, imagine you're in your late 40s and you've been contributing to an Assurance Vie for 15 years. You've built up a substantial amount. Now, you want to help your child study abroad. With Assurance Vie, you could make a partial withdrawal to cover tuition fees while keeping the rest of your money invested. This ability to take some money out while keeping the rest growing is one of its strongest points. The tax benefits. This is where Assurance Vie really stands out. We have made a deeper explanation some minutes ago, but I find it interesting to refresh it now, as it is a key aspect of Assurance Vie. After 8 years, any withdrawals you make are subject to favorable tax treatment. The normal gain tax is 12.8%, but after 8 years, this value is reduced to 7.5%. Then, after 8 years, you'll only pay 7.5% tax on the gains, along with 17.2% for social charges, and there's even an allowance on the first 4,600 euros, 9,200 euros for a couple. But there is another variable to consider, the total amount on money put into the Assurance Vie. The tax reduction is applied for the first 150,000 euros. The gains of any further deposit will be taxed at the normal amount. For example, let's say you invested 50,000 euros, and after 8 years, it's grown to 80,000 euros. If you withdraw 30,000 euros, only the gains are taxed. In this case, if 10,000 euros of that withdrawal is profit, you'll pay the reduced 7.5% gain tax and 17.2% on social charges on that amount, with the first 4,600 euros tax-free. As an inheritance planning, Assurance Vie is also an excellent tool for passing on wealth. You can name specific beneficiaries in your contract, and they'll often pay little to no inheritance tax, especially if the contract was opened before you turn 70 and the amounts transferred are below certain thresholds. Each beneficiary can receive up to 152,500 euros tax-free. This makes Assurance Vie a powerful way to transfer wealth to children, grandchildren, or even non-family members. For example, imagine you've built up 500,000 euros in an Assurance Vie. You've designated 2 children as beneficiaries. Upon your death, they each inherit 250,000 euros. The first 152,500 euros for each child is tax-free, and they'll only pay tax on the remaining 97,500 euros, which can be very advantageous compared to traditional inheritance taxes. The wide range of investment options. Unlike a simple savings account, Assurance Vie allows you to diversify your investments. You can opt for safer choices like funds and euros, or take a bit more risk with Unites to Compt that includes stocks or real estate funds. This flexibility means you can adapt your strategy based on your financial goals, your age, or the market situation. At the same time, depending on where you hold your account, there's the option for them to manage the money. You can choose among several categories, and they will decide how to distribute and move your money to try to maximize returns. This is maybe an interesting option for some people, but it is important to keep in mind that the person in charge of your funds can make mistakes and lose part of your money. For example, if you're young and willing to take more risks, you might allocate a larger portion of your Assurance Vie to unit-linked funds. As you approach retirement, you could gradually move that money into safer funds and euros to protect your gains. As with any financial product, Assurance Vie isn't perfect, and there are a few drawbacks to keep in mind. 1. The fees. Depending on your provider, Assurance Vie can come with several types of fees. Entry fees when you deposit money. Management fees, annual fees for managing the investments. And sometimes exit fees if you withdraw or close the policy too early. These fees can eat into your returns, especially if you're not paying attention. It's always important to read the fine print when opening a contract. For example, if you open an Assurance Vie with a 2% entry fee, every 1,000 euros you invest will only leave 980 euros to be invested. Over time, if the management fees are high, let's say 1.5% per year, this can add up and reduce the overall growth of your savings. Make sure to compare offers from different providers. 2. The investment risk. If you choose to invest in Unites de Compte, there's a chance you could lose part of your investment. These funds are tied to market performance, so if the market falls, the value of your Assurance Vie could drop as well. While you can earn higher returns, you need to be aware of the risks involved. For example, suppose you invest 50% of your Assurance Vie in stock-based Unites de Compte. If the stock market crashes by 30%, that portion of your savings will take a significant hit. Unlike funds on euros, which protect your capital, there's no guarantee with Unité de Compte. 3. The liquidity. Although you can withdraw money, it's not instantaneous. Depending on your contract, it might take several days or even weeks to receive the funds, especially for larger withdrawals. This isn't like a regular bank account, where you can access your money immediately. For example, let's say you've accumulated $100,000 in your Assurance Vie and want to withdraw $50,000 to buy a property. You'll need to inform your provider, and the process might take 2 to 3 weeks before you receive the funds. So, what can you use Assurance Vie for? Here are some of the most common uses. 1. As a retirement planning, many people use Assurance Vie to supplement their retirement income. Over the years, you can build up a substantial amount and then either make regular withdrawals to top up your pension or take a lump sum when you need it. For example, imagine you're 40 years old and have been contributing 500 euros a month to your Assurance Vie for the past 10 years. By the time you retire at 65, your investments could have grown to over 250,000 euros, providing you with a comfortable supplement to your government pension. 2. As a saving for major life events, whether it's for your children's education, a home purchase, or a big trip in retirement, Assurance Vie can help you save in a tax-efficient way over the long term. You can withdraw the money when the time is right, and depending on how long the contract has been active, enjoy reduced taxes on your gains. For example, you've been saving in your Assurance Vie for 15 years, and now you want to buy a second home. By making a partial withdrawal, you can use the funds to cover a significant part of the cost without paying heavy taxes thanks to the contract's favorable tax rules. 3. For passing on wealth, one of the main purposes of Assurance Vie is inheritance planning. You can specify beneficiaries, and in many cases, they'll receive the money with minimal tax burden. This is especially important if you want to leave money to loved ones outside of traditional inheritance structures. For example, let's say you're unmarried but want to leave money to your partner. With Assurance Vie, you can name them as a beneficiary. When you pass away, your partner will receive the funds with a much lower tax burden than if it were distributed through standard inheritance. Opening an Assurance Vie is straightforward, but you need to do a little homework to make sure you choose the right contract for your needs. Here's how. First step, compare providers. You can open an Assurance Vie through a bank, an insurance company, or even online platforms. Take your time to compare fees, investment options, and customer service. Some platforms are fully digital, while others offer personalized advice. For example, online platforms like Yomoni or Linksea offer lower fees and simple interfaces, but if you prefer face-to-face interaction, a traditional bank like Société Générale or Crédit Agricole might be a better choice. Second step, choose the right contract. Some Assurance Vie contracts focus on secure investments, funds, and euros, while others are designed for riskier, higher return investments, unites de compte. You'll need to choose based on your risk tolerance and financial goals. Third step, make an initial deposit. Once you've chosen a provider, you'll need to make an initial deposit, which can vary depending on the contract. Some contracts allow you to start with just a few €100, while others require more. Fourth step, select your investment mix. You can choose a mix of secure funds in euros and more volatile unites de compte. Some providers also offer managed portfolios, where experts select the investments for you based on your risk profile. Fifth step, sign the contract. Once everything's set up, you'll sign the contract and start contributing. You can make regular payments or one-off contributions, depending on your strategy. Closing an Assurance Vie is possible at any time, but it's important to consider the timing, especially in relation to the tax benefits. Here's what you need to know. Full withdrawal. You can choose to close the contract and withdraw all the money. However, if you do this before 8 years, you'll lose some of the tax advantages, and your gains will be taxed at a higher rate. After 8 years, the tax benefits kick in, and your gains will be taxed at the lower rate of 7.5%. For example, if you've built up €100,000 in your Assurance Vie over 6 years, and you withdraw it all before the 8-year mark, the profits will be taxed at 12.8%, plus social contributions of 17.2%. After 8 years, this would drop to 7.5%, a significant saving. Account fees and penalties. Some contracts may have exit fees, especially if you close the account within the first few years. Be sure to read the contract terms so you understand any potential penalties. In all cases, it is important to contact the entity with which you have the contract to understand better the fees and conditions. It is also key to read your own contract, as every piece of information that you may need is detailed there. When it comes to recovering your money, Assurance Vie offers several options. Partial withdrawals. If you need money but want to keep the contract open, you can make partial withdrawals. You'll only pay tax on the portion of the withdrawal that represents the gains, not the entire amount. For example, let's say you have €100,000 in your Assurance Vie, made up of €60,000 in deposits and €40,000 in gains. If you withdraw €20,000, only €8,000 of that would be considered taxable gain, while the other €12,000 is simply part of your original deposit. Scheduled withdrawals. If you're using Assurance Vie as a source of retirement income, you can set up regular withdrawals. This can work almost like a salary or pension, providing you with a steady stream of income. For example, imagine you've saved €300,000 in your Assurance Vie by retirement. You could set up a plan to withdraw €1,000 a month, leaving the rest invested to keep growing. Lump sum withdrawal. If you decide you need all the money at once, you can opt for a full withdrawal. Just remember that depending on the timing, you might pay more in taxes and fees. I would like to emphasize that it is important to contact the entity with which you have the contract to understand better the fees and conditions. It is also key to read your own contract, as every piece of information that you may need is detailed there. When it comes to recovering your money, Assurance Vie offers several options. Partial withdrawals. If you need money, but want to keep the contract open, you can make partial withdrawals. You'll only pay tax on the portion of the withdrawal that represents the gains, not the entire amount. Example, let's say you have $100,000 in your Assurance Vie, made up of $60,000 in deposits and $40,000 in gains. If you withdraw $20,000, only $8,000 of that would be considered taxable gain, while the other $12,000 is simply part of your original deposit. Scheduled withdrawals. If you're using Assurance Vie as a source of retirement income, you can set up regular withdrawals. This can work almost like a salary or pension, providing you with a steady stream of income. Example: imagine you've saved $300,000 in your Assurance Vie by retirement. You could set up a plan to withdraw $1,000 a month, leaving the rest invested to keep growing. Lump sum. Withdrawal. If you decide you need all the money at once, you can opt for a full withdrawal. Just remember that depending on the timing, you might pay more in taxes and fees. Closing an Assurance Vie is possible at any time, but it's important to consider the timing, especially in relation to the tax benefits. Here's what you need to know. Considerations for full withdrawals. You can choose to close the contract and withdraw all the money. However, if you do this before 8 years, you'll lose some of the tax advantages, and your gains will be taxed at a higher rate. After 8 years, the tax benefits kick in, and your gains will be taxed at the lower rate of 7.5%. Example: if you've built up €100,000 in your Assurance Vie over 6 years, and you withdraw it all before the 8-year mark, the profits will be taxed at 12.8%, plus social contributions of 17.2%. After 8 years, this would drop to 7.5%, a significant saving. Considerations for partial withdrawals. You don't have to close the contract to access your money. You can make partial withdrawals, leaving the rest invested. This allows you to enjoy tax benefits after 8 years while keeping your contract active. Example: if you want to withdraw €20,000 from a contract that's grown to €80,000 after 10 years, you can do so without closing it entirely. This way, you benefit from favorable tax treatment and leave the remaining €60,000 to continue growing. Considerations on account fees and penalties. Some contracts may have exit fees, especially if you close the account within the first few years. Be sure to read the contract terms so you understand any potential penalties. Now, let's compare Assurance Vie with 2 other popular French savings products, the PA and the Livret A. PA, Plan d'Épargne and Actions. The PA is a tax-advantaged investment account for stocks. It offers great benefits after 5 years, including exemption from capital gains tax on profits, but it's mainly focused on the stock market. This means it's riskier than Assurance Vie. With PA, you can only invest in European stocks and bonds, while Assurance Vie offers much more flexibility. If you're focused on long-term growth and are comfortable with market volatility, the PA might be for you. However, Assurance Vie is a more versatile product, allowing for both secure and riskier investments. Example: let's say you open a PA and invest €50,000 in stocks. After 10 years, your investment grows to €80,000. You can sell those stocks and enjoy tax-free gains. In contrast, with Assurance Vie, you could have diversified your investments into real estate, bonds, and stocks, balancing risk and reward. Livret A. The Livret A is the safest savings option in France. It offers a guaranteed return, around 3% in 2023, and your money is always accessible. The downside is that the return is low compared to other options. It's best for short-term or emergency savings, while Assurance Vie is designed for long-term growth. Also, the Livret A has a deposit limit of $22,950, whereas you can invest much more in an Assurance Vie without a cap. Example: if you put $10,000 in a Livret A today, it will grow at a fixed rate, but the returns will be relatively modest. Over 10 years, you'll earn less than you would with a well-managed Assurance Vie contract, which can diversify into higher-yielding investments. So, to sum up, Assurance Vie is a highly flexible, tax-efficient tool for long-term savings, inheritance planning, and even diversification of your investments. It can be tailored to your financial goals, whether you want secure growth with fonds and euros or higher returns with Unites de Compte. It's also an excellent way to pass on wealth to your loved ones. However, it's important to be aware of the fees, understand the risks of different investment options, and plan for the long term to take full advantage of the tax benefits. Whether you're planning for retirement, saving for a major life event, or looking to leave money to your heirs, Assurance Vie can be a smart financial choice. I would like to mention that there are dedicated videos to the Livret A and the PA in our channel. I would highly recommend you to watch them if you haven't already. Please note that the information provided in this video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, investment, or tax advice. You should always consult with a licensed professional before making any financial decisions based on this content. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions about Assurance Vie, drop them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them.